Hey guys, me again. Alright, I'm going to give you guys a quick tour of my solar power setup. It's not much, but it's something to start with. I did show some images of what I did about this. I did all this about 3 weeks ago. Put all my solar power in. But I'm going to give you guys a more in-depth look at what I've done here. First off, this little room here, very simple. It does look a lot like an outhouse, and it's basically what I was going for. I wanted it to look like an outhouse. So, you know, primarily for those who end up on my property who don't belong here, if they see it, they won't think much of it other than it's an outhouse. And won't have no reason to think that there's basically a lot of money in batteries and equipment inside this building. Cheap materials I purchased at Home Depot, put this thing together. It took me probably about a week to build it, you know, from start to finish. And the reason why is when I was putting it together, I think that was at the mid to late June here in the desert at my home in town. It was like 118 degrees for the couple of days that I was working on this thing. So, you know, I had to take breaks every 30-45 minutes, just go inside and cool off and catch my breath, because when you're working in that kind of heat, it takes it out of you real quick. So yeah, it took me probably about 5 days to build this. Otherwise, you know, under normal temperatures, it probably would have taken me, you know, a day or so. But anyways, it didn't cost too much to build. Very simple design. You can't see it from here, but I did paint the roof on top. I wanted it to kind of to blend in with the surroundings. Anyways, it's like forest green. It's hard to see from here with the glare. But as you can see, I have two lines conduit running into the back here, and the one on the left, it goes in a ditch there over to the solar panels. That's the wiring for my solar panels. The one on the right here is my ground. I have a ground rod 8 foot buried, and that's my line in for my ground. So let's look inside. I'm probably going to replace this door here in the future. This is not an exterior door. It's actually an interior door, hollow core. A real cheap one that I picked up at Home Depot probably about a year ago. I was actually going to install it in my house, and you know, my bad. I let it sit in my garage for a while. I had a motorcycle engine that I had taken out of one of my kids' quads sitting near it, and it had tipped over and leaked out some oil, and I don't know, you probably can't see it, but the oil ran across the floor, and over probably the course of a month or so, it absorbed into the bottom of this door here, and it swelled up here at the bottom, and I'm not going to put that in my house. So I had this spare door left over in my garage. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, and so I figured, you know, for the time being, I'm going to put it on this little battery room and see how long it'll last before I have to actually get a real exterior door. But it seems to be working for now. So inside, yeah, I didn't purchase the high dollar Trojan batteries. I would have liked to, but you know, just starting out, learning how to do all this solar power and what works and what doesn't, I wanted to try to keep the cost down. Well, for the most part. Anyways, you'll see here in a minute. So I went with the Energizer GC2 6-volt golf cart batteries. You can pick them up at Sam's Club. I'm sure they sell them at many other places, but anyways, that's where I got them. Not too expensive. I did not buy them all at once. I'm not a, you know, I'm not a millionaire. Not that you have to be a millionaire to buy them all at once, but you know, I started out with two, and I actually had the first two that I had. Come on, focus camera. Hello. Wow, I don't like that. The first two I bought about a year ago. I had them actually installed in this trailer I put them inside. Basically, I set it up all myself. I wanted to have standalone power in my little cargo trailer here, even when it wasn't connected to my pickup. So I put some batteries in, those 2 batteries, I put them in there. I actually had a small 30 amp charge controller hooked up so I can, run it off of solar power when I'm out somewhere and the truck's not connected to it. And had I think a 2,000 watt inverter that I picked up at Harbor Freight, a couple years ago. And it worked really well. I've got an air compressor in there and some other stuff, and it'll run all that stuff. Not a big air compressor, but enough. I can, whenever I drive somewhere, I can air up my tires, whatever. Run a nail gun if I need to. It operates all the lights inside. I installed an exterior light, which wasn't originally there. And anyways, it was real nice to have. I'm going to end up putting some more batteries back in there. I robbed them from this trailer to help out my battery bank here. So those are the first 2 I bought about a year ago. And then, I don't know, about a month ago, I went ahead and picked up 4 more. To try to, start with a decent, moderate, low to moderate battery bank. And I don't know, about a week ago, I picked up 2 more batteries. They're still sitting in my pickup right now, but I'm going to install those here in just a little bit. So I'm going to have a total of 8 6-volt golf cart batteries. I think that'll be plenty for now. In fact, I think that's probably too much for the 400 watts of solar that I have here, which means I'm going to have to upgrade my solar and go bigger. So again, we have the battery bank here. Very simple. I have them 6 volts, 6 volts. You combine connect them here from the positive to the negative. That's in series. That makes it a 12 volt battery. Did the same thing here, did the same thing here. So each one of these 2 is a 12 volt battery now that I've connected them in series. And then I went ahead and linked them here, all of the negatives and then all of the positives, and that puts them in parallel. So it makes it one gigantic battery bank is what it is. One big huge 12 volt battery. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 batteries that I have in my pickup. I'm going to hook them up the same way. Unfortunately, and I don't know, maybe this is alright, maybe not, but this is a 2 gauge wire, not 2 aught, it's 2 gauge wire. I made those myself, I bought the terminals, the wire, heat shrink, everything I think I got it off of Amazon. And a buddy of mine that lives out here on the ranch, not too far away, he has a crimper. He let me borrow a really good one, and I was able to make all my cables here. They're actually also soldered. I ran out of heat shrink. I don't know if you can see it, but they're soldered also, and that's silver solder. I just, I like to overkill stuff, so that's just how I am. Okay, so from the batteries, we go up to a battery kill switch. Probably not needed, not necessary, because my inverter has a on-off switch, but, like I said, overkill. That's how I am. A rather large fuse from Blue Sea Systems up into my inverter. And now here's where the funny part comes in. You remember how I was saying I wanted to try to keep things cheap? Well, I went big on this one. This is a Eames pure sine-wave 4,000 watt inverter charger. It's massive. It weighs like 65 pounds. It's I don't know if you can tell, but it's pretty big. Much more than what I need here. Much more than what I need here. It is 12 volt. Kind of kicking myself right now. I wish I had gone up to like the 24 volt. But it's what I got. So far it's my second time using it. And you know what? It's a really, really great inverter so far that I've been using. What I did is I took an old extension cord here and I cut it. And on this particular inverter, there are no power outlets over here anywhere on the inverter. It's actually hard wiring for 110, 120. So I actually thought it was coming with outlets. I guess I didn't, read too much on the specs, but no big deal, not needed. I can easily put outlets in here if I want. I'm capable of doing that. So, anyways, so I have one wire, one extension cord that I cut, pretty thick gauge. I'm not sure what gauge that is. I don't know. Probably a 10 gauge. I have it running over here to my cord out from my trailer. Okay, so that's how I power the trailer. And then this other cord that's hanging down here. Come on, focus. Okay, this one right here, that's the other end of the power cord. I also wired it. That side over there is for the generator in. And what that is for is I can pull my generator out, and I usually set it over there on the pallet, and I'll plug that end of the cord into my generator. And if it's cloudy out, or been raining for a while and not a lot of sunshine, and I've been using the heck out of my battery bank, I can actually run the generator, and this inverter will charge my batteries. And it depending on how you adjust this little switch right here, it'll charge them really fast, or you can step it down to charge it slower. So the first time I used this was about 2 weeks ago. That's when I installed it. 3 weeks ago. And I wanted to test all the features, so I plugged everything into the generator, got the generator kicked on, and started charging my batteries up. Well, I think I had this set a little too high, and these cables here, like I said, they're 2 gauge. They started getting a little warm, not hot, just lukewarm. And when you start feeling any kind of heat, no matter how warm it is, there's resistance there. And I don't want any resistance. So what I did was I went back home over the last week here. Well, yeah, week. And I went ahead and got 2-aught cable and the terminals. And I'm going to make all new battery cables at 2-aught. And I think that ought to be just fine. Okay, so from the inverter, we also have our ground wire, which I don't know. It's just kind of how I routed it up to a bus bar, and then up to my charge controller. I don't know too much about this charge controller. I bought it about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. It's Intronics Power Inc. Made in the USA. It's a 75 amp MPPT charge controller. Max voltage is, I believe, 60. So you can only go so far with it. If you're in series, you can probably go a little farther with it in parallel with your panels, because of how many amps it'll take. But I've got my panels in series and parallel. So from the charge controller, I also installed a bus bar up here that's strictly DC power coming from the charge controller, so I can run lights. That's actually a light that came with my Harbor Freight 45 watt solar power system that I got a couple years ago. That's where I started anyways. So I got that wired in, and it works okay. From there, I have another fuse for the charge controller, and again another battery kill switch, and then that's my line in from the solar panels. That's pretty much it for the battery room for right now. Obviously that's my crown jewel. Not cheap. Between $900 and $1,000. $880 something, $900. I don't remember exactly. A lot of money, but I think it'll pay off in the in the long run. So, okay, from there, we come out over here to the solar panels that I installed a few weeks ago. And all it is, and I went real simple on this. This is all just something I threw together. I like to keep things cheap, like I said. And if it works, then it works for me. So I got two 7-foot chain link fence poles from Home Depot. I buried them 16 inches with some concrete. And this, I don't know how it shows up on camera, but this is a, believe it or not, a satellite dish mount, swivel mount. This end of the oh, come on, focus. This end of the dish mount, it goes down probably to right about here inside the fence post. And this works pretty good. You can adjust your panels, the tilt based on, the time of the year. And I just threw a bolt in here to keep it from swiveling, turning from side to side. If in the winter, if I want to change the angle, or instead of pointing due south, move it a little southeast to follow the track of the sun, I can take the bolt out, turn it, drill another hole at that angle, put the bolt in, and it's good to go. My solar panel mount system. This is metal rod fencing for, like, say, I don't know, around a pool, or stuff for your yard that you can pick up at Home Depot. It came in one long stretch, and I cut it down to fit these two panels, and I just bolted in here, drilled some holes, bolted it in, and then this metal plate here I bought at Home Depot, and it was much larger. In fact, both these metal plates were one plate, and I cut it in half, and I just bolted that in to the metal fencing here, and then into the solar panel mount, the dish mount, and it works pretty good. So I have 4 Renogy 100 watt solar panels here, and they work pretty good. They're relatively cheap, for a solar panel, and I think they work pretty good. So what I'm going to be doing here this weekend, aside from installing 2 more batteries, I'm going to put in 2 more of these posts back here behind these panels, so I can add on later. I want to upgrade to another 4 more panels in the future. So I'm going to be doing that here in a little bit. If I have time, believe it or not, I'm going to put a little bitty rain gutter at the bottom of this roof. It's not much, but I'm going to put one of those blue rain barrels back here, and I'm going to downspout it right into the barrel, and I can use that water for watering trees or whatever. Definitely not going to drink it, but and it'll keep the water from eroding all the dirt here back behind the battery room. Like I said, it does rain a lot up here. So I'll be doing that. I might, if I have time, I'll put the trim here on the building, paint it, put the trim on. And then I really, really would like to start working back on my cabin again. It's been a long time since I've done anything to it, and I got to get cracking. This thing, I've just kind of been procrastinating. I really don't like getting up on the roof there. We're 17 miles off a paved road here. It takes about 45 minutes to travel that 17 miles because of how the road is. It's not great. So I don't want to get hurt out here and not have any way of getting help. So that's why I hesitate to go up there. I made a mistake on the roof. When I laid it out, I guess I didn't do a very good job of calculating where it was going to end up. So I'm off by about 3 inches here at this end, 3-4 inches. And my side gable trim doesn't quite make it over that last ridge on the roof panel. So I'm going to have to unscrew all that and kind of stretch it a little bit, drag it over there, re-screw it in. I just don't like getting up there It doesn't look like it's very high from here, but trust me, it's high enough to break a leg or you know, whatever. So, but if I do have time, I am going to get up there and do that. Once I get that roof fixed and the rest of this roof panels put on, the siding will go up real quick. It'll go up real fast, and then I can finally finish the exterior of this cabin, and a lot of stress and weight will be off my shoulders. So we'll see how much I get done while I'm out here. That's pretty much it. I got a little stuff I got to clean up from the cows here. They went in here in my little drainage area. I had to dig this ditch because it rained so much here. That one time water was literally flowing underneath my trailer, and it softened the ground to the point that all my jack stands, you know, they started to sink in the ground, and my trailer would no longer sit level. So I had to dig this ditch, and so far it seems to be working. It channels the water away from my jack stands, but the cows, they come in here like dummies and they walk in it when it's all muddy and they mess it all up. So I gotta try to smooth this out a bit. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see what else we have over here. I planted this tree about a year ago. It's called an Aleppo pine. I guess it's like an Afghan pine. It's more suited towards the desert climate. It looked like it was dying the first 6 months that I had it, but here in the last couple of months, this thing really just started taking off. So looks like the roots have taken, and it's gonna do well, I think. Planted some cherry trees over here that I purchased online, and I think they're dying. What leaves they had on them, they're gone, and this thing really looks like it's just dried up. Kind of unfortunate because they weren't cheap, but you know, trial and error. We'll see what happens. Maybe they're still alive and they'll come back here in a month or so, or maybe they'll sit out the winter and next spring they'll come back. Who knows? We'll see. A little cloudy up here right now. We're not expecting any rain, but you never know up here. It's crazy. Sometimes it'll be sunny and 30 minutes later the clouds will roll in and it'll just start pouring. So we'll see what happens.